Everything is tuberculosis. At least, that's what John Green says. Maybe not everything, but this idea got me thinking about how tuberculosis actually helped us discover one of the first antidepressant medications. In the 1950s, tuberculosis was a big deal. I mean, it still is today, but at that time, we didn't have the drugs that we have today to treat it. So scientists are trying to figure out cures, treatments for this nasty contagious illness. They end up developing isoniazid, a drug that we still use to treat TB. Is there something similar that could also work for the treatment of TB? Well, scientists developed a cousin of isoniazid called iproniazid. At this point, scientists, doctors, the whole world is excited about these discoveries, and they're testing both of these drugs, the isoniazid and the iproniazid, on patients with tuberculosis. And they start to notice some unexpected psychological side effects. At Seaview Hospital in Staten Island, patients treated with iproniazid are recovering from their tuberculosis. But not only that, they're dancing, they're happy, chatting away, they're more sociable, and they're just trying to leave hospital to get on with their lives. Some of these patients that you see here are less withdrawn. They're less depressed. Stimulating, energizing effects of the iproniazid aren't just noticed in patients with tuberculosis. Even those that weren't sick with TB experienced these effects. But how is iproniazid actually doing this? How is it lifting people out of their depression? That's because iproniazid is a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, or an MAOI. Monoamine oxidase is an enzyme that can break down chemical messengers we call neurotransmitters, or monoamines. Probably heard of some of these: dopamine, serotonin. Iproniazid works by blocking this enzyme, this monoamine oxidase, which increases the number of those messengers, those neurotransmitters in your brain. And the idea is that more serotonin, more dopamine can alleviate some of those symptoms of depression. What I've just described is basically the monoamine hypothesis of depression, the idea that having too few of these neurotransmitters can cause someone or lead someone to develop depression. And it was actually the work done with drugs like iproniazid and other drugs like reserpine that helped scientists zero in on this monoamine system. Depression is much more complex than just the monoamine hypothesis, but iproniazid was still very important in getting us to think about the biology of depression. Iproniazid did end up being sold and marketed in the US for the treatment of tuberculosis as well as depression, but not for very long because side effects like liver toxicity were very significant. That said, it paved the way for safer antidepressant medications to be developed. And yes, it does all tie back to tuberculosis.